We're a lot more.
Join me in the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tina said we didn't have the minutes, right?
That's correct.
Approval of claims.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Dusty?
So crews have been plowing snow. We have a detour letter of understanding for unofficial detours to be used on Bennington Pike. And then the second detour will be Fairview, Bradford, and Kennett Road, which I have here will sign. The new dump trucks was picked up Thursday, February 12th. And we have some slips for FEMA that we need to decide if we're gonna do engineering or if we're gonna design building. And in the past, we've always just engineered what needs to be done, but these are some smaller slips, so if we do a design build, they kind of throw engineering in on the design, so we don't really have to pay for it up front.
When do we need to decide on that?
Probably, we can decide next meeting, but we need to get moving on here shortly.
Really?
When we do not design bid, who does the design? The
Contractor.
whoever's awarded to,
Yeah, so they'll put in a bid proposal with their own design, their own engineering. But if we base it off of like federal highway standards, it could be like 3 or 4 different types of fixes, but they'll all have to meet federal highway standards for the longevity of it and how it's done.
so in that case, then we just have 3 people quote the design bid,
Yeah.
and so we might have 3 different,
Yes.
designs.
3 different designs, yeah. But as long as we stay with like federal highway guidelines, they'll all be a comparable fix. But it kind of saves on engineering, because the one on, Bulger Tap, it's probably more likely gonna have to be a soil melt wall, so we're looking at 35 to 40,000 just for engineering. And if we do design builds, they'll do the engineering on their own. But we can make a decision by next meeting, which way we wanna go.
do they have to be NDOT certified? Or?
Yes, I believe so. I'll check on that, but I think with the federal highway standard, you do have to be NDOT certified. And then, Bridge 16, we gotta work on getting right of way for it, which I was gonna talk to the attorney to tonight, but they're not here, so. And we're also out of overtime money, so.
Jenny got 10 grand the other night. Did they reappropriate?
Yeah. But that's, yeah, we used it and the 25 that I originally appropriated for the new budget.
March is coming.
Yeah.
Are you going back in March then?
Well, we'll have to do something because this next payroll I had, I don't know, what was it, probably 10 hours?
No, 12, 13 maybe.
Yeah, that we're not gonna be able to pay, so, which I can pay out of my regular payroll. But eventually it'll. we'll have to get through. And the last thing I have is Barker Road, which we had talked about this about a year ago, and I've been looking through all of our commissioner books at the courthouse, and I haven't found anything on Barker, whether we have a right of way, we don't have a right of way. And the only thing I know moving forward is we have a paper here, like when we do work on private property, because the landowner gives us the right of way to use. But we'll have to have the attorney look at this, and make sure it's still valid. That's all I have in 2 days. And what Barker needs is we got property that was bought in the back, and they're wanting to build a house and stuff back there, and the trees have grown in so close to the road that you can't get trailers or nothing through there. And we do have a small slip about halfway back that I've talked to the landowner about, that he'll give us the right of way to fix that slip and stuff. So we
Is
have
that the road we did some work on back last year?
Well, he had brought this up last year.
Okay,
and
because it was narrow or
Yeah,
bank or something. that
yeah,
you
there's
cut
banks,
back.
and we have, I don't know, there's probably 40, 50 trees back through there. It's basically growing right in the edge of the road. It was pretty well like that when they built it. But
I think he's wanting to log that place as well.
might be, I don't know.
Sounds like alongside the road would be a good place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And, you know, depending on the landowners will agree to us to cut the trees and stuff, we can either leave them the trees or we can cut them up and get them out of there, but I'll have to have the attorneys look at this and make sure that that's still feasible.
But the portion we're talking about, we do maintain.
Yeah, we maintain that entire road, but we don't have that I can find, no right of way past the base of the road. And that road's probably, at the widest, it's probably 14 feet in places, but most places it's probably 12 or less. And that brings up my next question. I know that we can have firms come in and go through all our commissioner books and pull out the right of ways for whatever roads that we have. I think that's something we need to look into in the future and see if we can get somebody to do it.
How many do we not know about?
So,
A lot.
yeah.
But would they also
I'd
help
say
with what roads we don't know if they exist or not exist? 'Cause it seems like we've been doing that all the time as well.
Yeah, well, now, there's, to an extent, yes, we do have roads that have been vacated in the books that we found. I'm sure there's some that we don't know about. But as far as right of ways, I'd say we only know 40% that we do have.
Yeah, what's the cost?
I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't checked into it. I do know that, I talked to Derek, man, that does our bridge inspections, and it can be done, but I don't know what it costs.
Look into it. Gonna cost me
I'll check that.
maybe
And
$1 gazillion.
this is the unofficial detour contract that needs to be signed. And this will actually be two different scopes of work on Highway 250. One of them will be using Bennington Pike as a detour, and the other project will be using Fairview Road and Bradford and Kent.
Okay, this one we just fixed them the last time it was a detour.
They have weight restrictions already posted on them.
I do not think, we have weight restrictions on the roads. We need them, yes, but I don't think they're posted that, and I believe to do no stretch signs, we've got to make an ordinance for that road, right?
Yeah, that's what they said last time.
Yeah.
Did you get your new software?
Yes, we did.
So we can make sure we drive these before we
Yep.
make them
And
detour.
that's the good thing with this Biolytics, we can run it weekly, monthly, whatever we want to do to see how it's deteriorating.
Have you done through Garrett?
No. But that's something we usually get from state.
State, right.
Common. We've done several of them.
Basically.
And actually, I think the state paid for the repairs of Kennet,
They did.
so.
And just so the new commissioners are aware, when we do these unofficial detours, a lot of people think we pick the road that we want to go on, and we don't. We try to pick the roads that we know the traffic's gonna go to, because we can't really control where we push the people to go where they want. That's all I got.
Old business, it wasn't on the agenda, it was just a miscue. Old business, you have Ryan Secord here, talk about our insurance. Ryan?
Thank you, gentlemen. Good to see you again. I am here today to ask for your vote to make me your one throat to choke for all of your insurance needs. We, as you know, manage your employee benefits program. Last year, we were able to take over your ancillary benefits program, and through our process of analysis, we're able to clean up some issues that were occurring through that process. From my perspective and yours, these two programs, the one that I'm asking about today is the property and liability insurance. They do work in tandem to some extent, especially under the workers' comp position. And as somebody that already manages the employee benefits and the major medical and the things that impact workers' comp, being that left hand, it would be helpful in terms of helping to produce savings and opportunities for the county to see what the right hand is doing by being the right hand. The reason why I'm here today, we've asked for maybe the last 50-ish days or so to attempt to accumulate the data to create a formal presentation and kind of do all these things. We haven't been able to get that. And you are a April 1st renewal, which would give us roughly 43 days from today to complete the work. Absolutely doable. The things that we would do is we would begin that process of audit that we did just like the ancillaries and make sure that everything is secure, everything is correct. I have 12 property and liability insurance programs that are running in public entities right now. The closest one to you would be Madison School District. So we have a presence in the area already and are managing, the issues that are occurring here. I also have probably the first or second, maybe the third largest book of Astra business in the state under my book of business. And with that leverage, it would be my hope, depending on kind of where you guys are, to try to get you guys back into that program if we can, because really these are the folks that are offering the best opportunities for municipals in terms of savings and opportunity. But the reality is, if we have this opportunity to do this, and I understand, I'm sorry that we weren't able to accrue this data so that we could create a formal presentation. So as a gesture of goodwill, what we would like to offer is a 20% reduction in our fees. And these fees are set by the insurance company, not by us, for both your employee benefits program and your property and liability insurance program for 24 months. After 24 months, the employee benefits program would go back to its standard fees, and the 20% differential will remain permanent on the property and liability side. So no matter what, we'll give you an opportunity to save some money. We'll go through the process over the next 43 days, if allowed to do so. We'll meet with all of your department heads. Our southern office on the Ohio River in Troy, Indiana, our individuals from there will come here, as well as me. We'll meet with every department head. We'll go through every piece of paperwork. We'll go through every potential liability, as well as old and new issues. And we'll, if needed, clean them up as we did the ancillary program through our process of audit to make sure that the county is sufficiently covered. I know you guys have some pretty interesting weather coming here Thursday, I think, Friday. This area has been hit consistently. So managing this as a financial asset on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis is pretty important to make sure that we're not paying unnecessary fees and accumulating unnecessary risk. So if you're comfortable with the way that we've handled your employee benefits program and the way our audits have been able to close some gaps and loops, then I can't wait to show you what we can do on the property and casualty side. So if you have any questions about our processes or what we can do or what this would look like, I'd be happy to answer that for you.
I guess I have a couple questions.
Yeah, I figured you would.
So your fees are currently 10% of basically the policy here, if I remember correct?
For which one?
Oh, the medical ancillary.
I don't know the percentage. I know it's roughly $58,000.
I think it's around 10%. Yeah, that'd be.
So 20% off of that?
That and the fees for the property and casualty too. So we would just assume whatever fee your broker you're currently paying now, and for the next 24 months for both programs, we would reduce the fees on both sides by 20%. And then after 24 months, the employee benefits would go back to just the normal standard fee, and the property and casualty would remain at the 20% reduction in perpetuity until you decide to pick another broker.
Tina, are we currently with Astra? It's through Garner, but I think
That's who we have as Gardner, that's what I was trying to,
it's either Astra or Ascot, one of the
It
other.
used to be Astra. I think you were dropped.
We got dropped by one of the two, but I can't remember.
Yeah,
which one.
last year, or the year before. So, and I tried to call them and convince them otherwise back when we talked about that then, but they said that just the claims from the storms were the concern. The good thing is after 2 years, which I think it's been pretty close to 2 years, a lot of those claims are not taken as seriously as the newer ones. And if you guys have been running relatively well, then the opportunity to bring you to Astra, I think would be possible. We're the 5th largest brokerage firm in the United States. And the way that property and casualty insurance works, it's kind of like a doctor, where you have to have admitting privileges. A doctor just can't go to St. E's or King's Daughters. And they have to have some kind of relationship with that hospital in order to practice there. Well, the same thing applies to insurance brokers. If you have a small, and I'm not familiar with your insurance broker, but if you have a smaller insurance broker, they may have access to 1, 2, or 3 organizations that would consider you. But because we're one of the largest private brokerage firms in the nation, and we have thousands of municipal clients across the country, we have access to just about every kind of conceivable insurance program that we could look at for the next 43 days to say, hey, is this appropriate for Switzerland County, and does it fit their budget needs along with their coverage needs? So we would open up the roster in terms of taking a look at where you belong. There will be a little bit of a paperwork lift on your part. There are applications, but I can help Gail and Tina through that process just as they would during any renewal process if you decided to shop. But testing the waters, taking a look at it, and then shoring up any gaps or inefficiencies in the program are vital. Liability is one of the things, especially in tort claims, that are a substantial concern for my municipal clients as well as others. And our ability to cover these gaps have really helped save money in the long run, where otherwise they may have had to pay out, if that makes sense. So,
I'd like to say something.
yes, ma'am.
If they decide they're gonna do this,
Mhm.
can you guarantee that it will be a lot smoother transaction than it was with the employee health insurance?
Well, which program? Are you
If that
talking about
was
the
not
ancillary
smooth.
program?
All of it, that was not smooth.
So
on my
when we
part.
moved-
That was not smooth.
When we moved the initial program, we moved from a traditional medical program to what's called an ICRA program, as you know.
Yes, I
And-
wasn't really talking about that. I was talking about where you took over all the rest of the insurance.
Yes. So the
And
program,
there were the life insurance, the Mass Mutual, the Guardian, the
Ancillary.
Allstate.
yes. So the ancillary programs.
Yes.
Yes, that was quite a bit of a lift because we
That-
found some pretty significant gaps in some coverages and some things that were
And then
supposed to
we
be
said
signed
we-
up for that weren't.
And
So
then-
yes, if we find mistakes in the process that we recommend that you clear up, then yes, there will be a bit of a lift there, but those are to ensure, guarantee coverage for the county and its employees and its property, not just to make busy work. So
No,
I
I get
can't-
that. But when I sit here and I tell my employees that we are gonna go with your guys's, Colonial, that this was gonna go and this was gonna go and this was gonna go away. And then somebody in your division said, no, we're gonna go ahead and keep this one since there's only a handful.
yeah,
You
so
know,
the reason,
then I had a lot of these people thinking they weren't getting this coverage. And then when it came down to it, they ended up having 2 and 3 life insurance policies that they didn't even, know they was gonna have because we thought 2 of them was getting canceled.
Mhm.
Which you all kept.
right. So the initial reason why, and I remember this discussion at the beginning of the year, was because the one thing that we didn't want to do is make somebody move from a product that they were comfortable with and push them onto something new, even though the new product was cheaper and offered a little bit better coverage, right?
I understand that,
So-
but then I don't wanna give my employees false information to say that this is getting canceled. And then your person sends me a cancellation notice that I needed to send to that company, when all reality, we wasn't canceling them.
Mhm.
So yes, it was a mess and it was a little confusing.
There were a lot of messes, but that wasn't really on Henry. There was a lot more involved in that. So let me ask you a question.
I will do the best that I can to make this as an easy transition. If you need me down here on a day-to-day basis until we figure it out, I'm happy to do that, to answer your question.
You've been asking information from us for 50 days.
About 50 or 55 days, yeah.
Getting this information, would it help in that transition?
Well, I would definitely need it. And if you voted today, then it would be required to be handed to me. The problem is we have 43 days from
Right,
today.
But you started asking 50 days ago.
Right.
Okay.
So we've been trying to accrue the data to go through a more traditional process, create some explanations and do these things. That's why we're offering the fee reductions to say, hey, we'll put a little skin in the game if you're willing to put a little skin in the game. Of course, we'll never ask you for a contract. So if you're unhappy with the services, and I'm certainly going to put my best foot forward because it obviously impacts the other side of the business that we have with you, and I certainly wouldn't want that. You have the opportunity to do as you please. But again, as I said, if you're satisfied with our ability to kind of catch some of these gaps and build some of these savings opportunities in as we've had over the last 2 years, this is another opportunity to do so. And I should preface just in full disclosure, because I want to be as completely as transparent as possible. This isn't going to be like the $1 million we saved in the healthcare plan in the first year, and the reason why is because these costs aren't associated with contractual language and all these things. It's the cost of replacing a building if it burns down. It's the cost of a 2x4. It's the cost of mortar and brick, and the cost of labor that governs these costs, right? So while we can keep things competitive and keep things in line with what's acceptable, the bigger piece is to make sure that we close the gaps if there are any, and make sure that when the workers' comp program is working and the major medical program are working, they're working in tandem. Oh, that's not a good look. And be able to put those. I knocked over Jesus. But now I lost my train of thought. But with that said, I think we would have the opportunity to provide some savings in our fee programs for you for the next 2 years, and give you the opportunity to use those savings and leverage any additional savings opportunities that we have. But it's not going to be a magic bullet. There's not going to be $700,000 to $1 million of savings here, but we can tighten up costs and efficiencies in the program so that when something does break or something does burn down, God forbid, or any of those things, and you have a service model that works well and can get you guys through that program.
So what is your ask today, Ryan? Because, and I want to be clear, because obviously on the ancillary, there was a little bit of confusion. I'll blame it on myself, say on my part. I thought we was authorizing you to do the necessary work to come back and tell us, if you go with us, this is what the cost will be, this is what the savings will be. We didn't do that. We just basically gave you the ancillary. What I'm hearing today is you're asking us to do the same thing with the property and liability.
Yes, sir.
Me personally, I'm not willing to do that. If you can't show us what that cost is and what the difference is, I'm not willing to just say, yeah, I'll take your word for it. And I trust you, don't misunderstand me.
No, I
But I think
completely
that's bad business.
And I agree with you. That's why we wanted to offer the reductions in our fees as a gesture of goodwill. The reason why I wasn't able to present that to you today is just because we've never been able to
Right,
capture
but
the
20%
appropriate data.
20% of 60,000 is 12,000. If it's an increase of 40, that's not a very good deal for me, right? And I don't believe there will be an increase, but me personally, I think that's kind of reckless with taxpayer money is signing a blank check, not knowing what it's for, right?
I would completely agree with you if you had had a bad experience with our existing service, or if we had had a reputation of not producing what we had discussed. In every step of our relationship, we've met our obligations. And I live and die by the fact that you can vote to make me leave at any time. So I have a very strong incentive to continue to produce at the level that I have. And while I completely agree with your position, we have attempted in numerous times to accumulate the data to do just that. And the problem is we've just run out of time.
Yeah.
So you guys
You
are,
should have been here 60 days ago, right?
I tried that, sir. I did. I assure you, I've been trying for quite some time.
And like I said,
So-
I have all the confidence and trust in the world. I just don't think that's a good way of doing business. That's just
Well,
my opinion.
Unfortunately,
We could take a vote, which is what we should do.
unfortunately, the way that property and liability insurance works, if we do not move forward, then we won't be allowed to have this conversation again until next January.
Sure.
So it'll be another year, and all of the potential opportunities that we can close the gaps on, all the additional savings of things that we've done and demonstrated in other parts of your plan would sit for another year. So that could potentially be left on the table with any potential liabilities that you may or may not be exposed to right now. I just don't know the answer to that. Again, I really wish I could have came here.
Nor do we, right?
Yeah, well, that's kind of the problem though, isn't it? So, and with me, I think you know how everything works on the employee benefits side, and we would bring that level of transparency and understanding to the commissioners as well as the auditor's office, so that we're just brought up to speed on these incredibly important things. It just takes one lawsuit on the liability side as an exposure to completely change the dynamic of your budget for the year.
Well, I think the bigger problem is, the reason we ended up in the same situation with the ancillary benefits is because you requested the information and couldn't get it at that time either.
Now you see how the insurance
So-
business works.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, shame on us. We obviously, as a county, have a process that doesn't work, but that doesn't mean that we should just say, hey, I trust you, here's a blank check. That's my opinion. I'll leave it at that.
I completely understand, and I think that's a fair statement, sir. I really do.
Have you been given any indication of when you can get the information?
As I understand it, Commissioner Harrison, you should be receiving that information as of last
5
week.
days ago.
Huh?
5 days ago.
Yes,
That's
and
when
it
I
was not
received
provided
that
by the
information.
existing brokers.
I got involved in this, 10 days ago, maybe. And tried to get the information and denied basically at this point.
And that's,
Promise. And
that kind of
I've received
speaks
nothing
to
to date, so.
what I said about welcome to the insurance industry. There's a lot of filibustering to prevent you from having the flexibility to change. I'm not saying that that's occurring here. I've just seen it in the past. So if that's in fact the case, then I don't know what to say other than I wish I could help you.
Yeah, and I think what I heard you said, is there a law that keeps you from requesting that information prior to 90 days out?
Your office.
So the insurance company
Or
on
you
the
would have-
property.
Oh, it needs to be current information.
Exactly. And they won't look at anything before 90 days because who knows, they want to make sure that you didn't have like a courthouse burned down and they didn't hear about it, so from their perspective, it's only good for a certain amount of days. And then we're within that window right now. I can absolutely go on a rat race for you here over the next 43 days. We'll have our staff in here. Like I said, there'll be a very thorough process where we have the opportunity to meet with your department heads and do the things that we need to do to ensure that you're locked down, just like we did on the ancillary side. And we did catch quite a bit on the ancillary side that I think was incredibly important. So I'm not so convinced that we won't find things to shore up here as well. And with liability being such a massive thing, especially when you have sheriff's departments and jails and all of the things that can cost you an arm and a leg in less than 2 seconds. Our process would make sure that you are tightened up and ready to go by April 1st. And we'll put every best foot forward to get that done.
Let's say you get the information next Wednesday, Thursday. What's a realistic turnaround time that you could get us the information that, because, we have another meeting in 2 weeks.
So it would be difficult. What we would essentially be reviewing is the data from the totality of your plan. And that's not something that we just can turn over. I mean, these things are literally thousands of pages, right? So we could put together what would be a very brief summary, but I don't know how profoundly helpful it would be. If we had the 50 or so days, we could have done a really deep analysis to say, hey, here's the thing, and here's the thing, and here's the thing. But, what we're balancing is not only the opportunity to get this information to you, but in 2 weeks, I'll have, what's 43 minus 14?
Right.
Yeah, to try to get the whole project complete. And that's a really difficult thing to do. I'm not saying that I can't do it. I'm just saying that maybe Tina's not going to love me as we do it. So, because it's going to be it's going to be a heavy
I'll
lift.
dig right in there.
So, yeah, but with this amount of time, I could absolutely get it done. But in a couple weeks, we're pitching to the point where I would probably suggest, hey, let's talk about it next year. But I think the opportunity, and to your point, 12,000 times 2 is 24,000 plus I'm assuming you're probably spending $40,000 to $50,000 in compensation over there. So you times that by 2 as well. You've got a pretty significant savings over 2 years that we're willing to offer you no matter what on both sides of the house. So who doesn't want like 50,000 extra dollars? Get that road paved.
I won't pay very much. Unfortunately.
Ryan, you have what information he wants.
No, I went directly to Gardner.
It's low.
I just cut out the middleman. I'm giving nothing, so, by Gardner.
Haven't let you gentlemen down yet. Give me the opportunity, I'll continue that trend. I'll leave it at that, unless you have any other questions.
I have no problem taking a vote on it. I mean, I think you know what my vote's going to be.
Right. I don't think it's fair. I understand what you're saying, but this isn't the only issue that we've requested information. And this guy's been sitting here for 50 days asking. It's not much to ask for.
This is why we need somebody to manage this stuff.
So the worst case, if we don't do anything, we're talking about this again in January. Is that what I heard?
Yes, unless you, of course, have a gap that we're not aware of and you have a large liability claim. But that's a big if. Nothing can go wrong this year too. It could be a perfect year.
And the only way we should have a gap is if we don't renew with the current carrier.
Right, Gardner.
Potentially. So you guys have extraordinarily unique risks. And that's why we
That's
think,
gonna be whether with you or anybody else, that risk
Right.
is the same.
but because we work with so many entities very similar to you, we know those risks like the back of our hand and capture them in ways that potentially other brokers haven't seen. So from jails to police officers to civil rights violations, all of it. We've seen it all.
I think at this point, it's just gonna be a lot to ask of you, Ryan. Amy's right. Taxpayers deserve to have some answers. You have been given the runaround and gotten no information that's been requested. I tried to help you, and I couldn't get any information as well. I think maybe we fight real hard over the next 2 weeks, over the next few days, maybe, try to get something. Maybe you can have something, some kind of projection 2 weeks from now. I know it's not what you want, and I know it's not going to be an accurate or a locked-in, fee, but maybe we have something more to offer than just maybe.
Is it solely Gardner that we're needing the information from?
Yeah.
That's part of the service model as well.
Yeah.
If you were to ask this information from us, you would have had it immediately. So there would be a change in service.
I've talked to him
As well.
personally 4 times on the phone, and that's just over the last 10 days. And then you were 40 days prior to me getting involved, so. And every day, we'll have it the next day or two. I get nothing. No, well, once, the feller, I forget his name.
Brad.
I talked to him.
Great, good night.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so we'll table this for 2 weeks.
Well, how many days what's the projected date that we have to get this to you? For you to have
Your last
anything on the
meeting.
table?
You're gonna have to make a decision on this, your last meeting before April 1st. So that's the condensed version, so that if you give me this information in the next couple days, I can come back in 2 weeks with whatever I can put together. And gentlemen, don't expect to be overly impressed because of the condensed timeline, but we'll do the best that we can to justify our request. And then you can determine if it's worth your time or not. Again, the only concern that I have is that we just want to make sure that we have a sufficient amount of time to do this. You could, of course, vote to allow us to begin this process and change your mind before the April 1st deadline and return to your old broker. But that would give us immediate access to start doing the things that we would need to do through the process of AOR, just so long as you have made your final decision before April 1st. But that would give us really immediate access to everything that we need, with the option of a bailout if you decided to do that.
So I will drive to Gardner Insurance tomorrow and talk to them face to face. I know where they are when they close
Okay.
and see what tomorrow brings.
Then do you have an executive session or something between,
We can have a special, we can have executive. We'll have a
Okay.
special.
understand, yeah, the sooner I can get back to you guys, and the more time that we have to begin working on this, obviously the better outcome. So I probably should have came to your January meeting, but we put this request in, I think, the first week of January, and just, we've not been able to accumulate the correct information to be able to give you a definitive answer, so.
Okay. I'll go there tomorrow. Personally, see if I can get this stuff. And we'll table it.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
It's because I knocked over Jesus, isn't it?
Yeah.
You did that after I already asked the question, so it had nothing to do with it.
Okay, report parks. Sunday, February 8th, and also Sunday, February 15th, I toured all three parks. Patriot Park was plowed with snow by some nice people, but the boat ramp was 3 feet deep in a snowbank. Mobile home is still present at Bryant's Creek. Markland Park was accessible, but the parking lot was 14 inches deep with snow. People still used it. Monday, February 9th, I spoke to YPAC. They'd like to replace a leaky window and a sagging countertop in a concession building at Markland Park. Had our board meeting Thursday, February 12th, and voted to tell YPAC to go ahead with the concession building improvements. We'd appreciate pictures when they're all done. Asked them to put up a YPAC sign on their equipment storage trailer at Markland Park. And I gave out one summer youth application February 13th. Sent a letter to Ohio-based magazine called Ohio Riverway for kayakers and canoeists. And they had listed Patriot and Bryant's Creek in Kentucky. So I told them they're still in Indiana, and they called me up and thanked me. And they said next year they'll rectify that situation. And that's it.
One thing with John that, with Patriot Park, the Patriot sign, no one wants to take care of. It's not in the town limits. My suggestion is knock it down. You had some legal information
Yeah,
on,
we're on firm legal ground. It's highly illegal. I just try not to.
because there's business.
Because it's a commercial, sign in a park, just like when you go to a national park or a state park. It doesn't say McDonald's, or it doesn't say a motel is 2 miles away. You don't do that in a park.
Yeah, where I'm going is no one wants to take care of it. So if they want to put up a sign, let them put up a sign in town limits so they can take care of it.
The sign's always been illegal. But I kept quiet about it so far. Okay, thank you.
All right, so the next item on here is safe passage.
So we have safe,
I'm lucky enough to be on that board.
Yeah, so-
I'm gonna remove myself from.
so basically they're asking for $7,500. They served residents in Switzerland County, about 185 bed nights from what I'm reading here. Are you with Safe Passage?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
So I don't want to take a lot of your time, so I can answer whatever is most helpful, but Safe Passage is the domestic violence and sexual assault intervention and prevention service for Switzerland County and 5 surrounding counties. So we do everything from emergency shelter for residents who are in Switzerland County and need that feature, to mobile advocacy. You're not going to see like our logo on buildings around town, but we're here. We're like everywhere and nowhere. We're here and we're serving the community to make sure that those needs are taken care of. Our mobile advocacy allows us to take them to KDH or St. Elizabeth for forensic examinations. We are able to meet your law enforcement officers out and kind of when they are ready to get to safety, we can meet and pick them up and get them to secure shelter. And then when they are ready to transition from emergency shelter, we do a lot of work to secure funding to pay the down payment or the security deposit and up the first 3 months of their housing needs to get them reestablished back into safety. So a few years ago, Switzerland County government was really helpful in terms of supporting some of the financial needs that we have to keep this going through Switzerland County. And the past few years, we have not been able to see that support, but we have worked with your community foundation to bridge that gap so we can continue to offer the quality services that are needed here in the county. And then from a systems level, just to give some perspective too, in March, we are having the Petito Foundation training. They're coming in to give a training to all first responders. So there are first responder requirements for domestic violence training. And so we are offering that free to all of the 911, EMT, EMS, first responder, LEOs, everyone that wants to come. So we have one session over in Ivy Tech in Madison during the day and one session at night from 6 to 10 in Lawrenceburg so that people can go according to their schedules and get that training. So we're doing a lot in the community in order to help support not just survivors, but those who are first responding to that type of violence. The other thing I always offer, just because it's kind of hard to see our mission in action, is to make sure if you guys want to see what that looks like, you're more than welcome to come into shelter and tour. You can hear all about what our primary prevention is doing in elementary, middle, high school, and then we have Ivy Tech and Hanover in our service region, our college level primary prevention programming. And you can also see our shelter and get an idea of what that looks like. We have a 30-bed capacity and we stay relatively full. We will shut the living room down or the children's room down if we need to get some people into safety. And that shelter location in Ripley County serves Switzerland as well as the other 5 counties. We're facing some pretty steep federal funding cuts, as I'm sure we're not unique to that. A lot of our victim service providers, our CACs and law enforcement that require or kind of have done some victim services through a fund called VOCA, that is the Victims of Crime Act. That's getting reduced in October by 40%. So what we do, it's not just Switzerland County, it's every county and every city that we serve in. We ask to give a little bit so that we can bridge that gap from the federal and state funding that we get to continue the quality of services that we're providing.
Just curious, of the 185 bed nights, do you know how many people that it was?
That would be 185. So it's
Okay.
an average, the cost is $100 a night for that
Right,
wraparound
understood
service.
that. So you're saying everyone that came in only stays one night?
No, if that person was there for 14 days, that would
Right.
be 14
So that's
bed
my
nights.
question. You
Right,
know how
so
many
how many
People that served.
Yeah, I can get that to you, but I don't know how that breakdown is offhand, but I can certainly get that to you. And
And
some
the reason I asked
some
is-
of those are children too.
Sure. And the only reason I asked is because obviously there's competing interests for what little grant money
I know.
we do have left. And if you look at some of the other organizations, they maybe represent 2% of the population of the county,
Sure.
or one maybe represent 10% of the population of the county. So if I knew that number, then for me, I could make a decision as, does it represent a larger portion of the county than maybe some of the other interests that are asking for the same money or competing for the same money? So that's the reason for the question.
No, it's a good question. I can get that to you.
Yeah, and personally, I'm not against it. I would like, before we hand out any potential money, get through the first quarter. Let's see who's going to be coming at us. And also the data like Jamie's requested.
Mhm. And we're just appreciate you keeping us in mind. Like I said, back about 3 years ago, I think there was a consistent amount of support historically around a $12,000 to $13,000 range. So we understand some of the financial constraints, and we're trying to just make a recommendation for funding. Anything that you have that can kind of go towards victim services to help us offset, we would just appreciate your consideration.
Okay.
But that's reasonable if you want to wait a quarter and see what's going on. It used to be that we would come, I think, every January and make these requests. And then a few years ago, they requested that we wait until the fall to come back in. And then when we did that, we weren't hearing anything. So this is a newer process for us in terms of kind of coming back and seeing what is best for you guys too, timing wise. So whatever guidance is appreciated.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We have board appointments here. Florence Regional. I have one here. Do we know how many openings there are? Do you know?
What is it?
Yeah, how many openings there are, or what are we, there's only one application?
I think you just have to just do.
Well, his question, are there, how many
She
board?
said, but she said that you had all the applications or whatever, and there just needs to be one.
We've been voting on different appointments for this board, so the question.
How many seats are still open on that board?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, we can't vote on it.
I mean, we probably shouldn't assume that there's one, but although that's a reappointment because he's currently on that board.
He's applying for president, so
Yeah, he's currently the president, if I'm not mistaken.
he just wants to be president.
Reappointment, I'm pretty sure, but
Yeah, it says here, reappointment, wants to be president, so, okay. I'll make a motion to reappoint Thomas Conroy, Florence Regional Board as president.
I'll say,
hold on. I think the board elects the president. I don't think we do. He's just currently saying, I don't know why he put president. I asked Gil that in the email. That was supposed to be position, not title. So it's just an appointment for that board. And I think the board establishes.
Yeah, but I'll make a motion to
Officers.
reappoint him to the board,
I'll second.
Florence Regional.
I'll second.
All in favor?
I'm not sure.
Bond approvals. What are these for? Yep. That's
I'd make a motion to approve the surety bonds for Karen DeCavich and Yvette Emick.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
New copy machine for recorder's office.
Good evening. Yeah, our copier is in the process of dying. So I'm gonna need a new one.
So we need 2 new copiers?
Yes.
Yes.
Same copiers, same company, same everything?
Same price? Yeah. I don't know if you guys got a quote,
They'll deliver when?
huh?
They'll deliver when?
I thought we had to ask you
Oh, yeah,
guys
yeah.
and
My
get
bad.
approved for it.
That's
I
my bad.
mean, hopefully as soon as
Or
possible.
what did they quote you?
5,770.
If you don't mind that I add to this, it's detrimental to our office to have a copier. We ran 414,000 copies over the course of 2015 is when they installed our copier. We run approximately 50 to 60,000 copies a year. We run about 10,000+ copies additional during the election year. We're coming into an election. Right now, I'm running with a copier that the door is hanging open to get the other doors to take over. It's obsolete. I don't know that we have the same copier currently,
Mm-mm.
but
No, we don't.
the quote's the same. I talked to the vendor. It's been 5 years since I've done an RFP for the county, but they take care of all of your supplies, all the maintenance, all the toner. Like I said, if I have problems, I pick up the phone and call, they're here. If I were to buy a copier outside of this contract that you currently have, they will not honor any of these service costs.
So I just had a couple questions. And I asking you, I thank you for sending me kind of the information. I asked you for how many copies a year because I was trying to understand what the maintenance agreement costs.
Yeah.
But it's 5 cents a copy for color copies and basically 1 cent a copy for 0.7 cents for a black and white copy. So if I just make assumptions that it's 3/4 and a fourth, color versus black and white, or excuse me, black and white versus color, then it's about $1,000 a year probably for the maintenance contract. Is that correct? Because it's quoted separate in your quote.
The
You
maintenance,
pay a maintenance fee per copy
We-
with this.
We don't.
we
with this
don't. That's,
contract.
no, this
We
is
don't.
part of your contract
You
that
guys
you
have a
have.
contract with them.
Yeah, we
We
don't.
don't.
The copiers are owned by the commissioners.
Yeah.
And so there
They
was a,
took over they took over the copy.
So this sheet right here, you have it?
Mhm.
That shows you what
Yeah.
your maintenance contract is with this contract.
Yeah,
It's 5 cents.
right, they're telling you how much the copies are per copy. That's,
yeah, we
that's-
don't have line
that's what
items
they-
anymore for copy.
you know, that's
Copiers.
what they charge across the board for every copier in the courthouse, to my understanding.
Mhm. Yep.
That was just them breaking it out for you, so you knew what they were
So you're
charging.
saying that we currently don't take the service agreement?
I don't have a service agreement with the commissioners
You
have a
guys
service
do.
agreement. You have an agreement. We do
Okay.
not.
I understand the commissioners signed the contract, but you guys use the
We-
copiers, the commissioners don't.
Right.
Right.
So as a part of that total package, you're really asking for $57.70 or plus $1,000 for the service agreement.
I would assume, yeah, because those are our copies.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we need a new copier, but you also have a service agreement for toner, maintenance, yes, copies.
Right. And that's,
Yeah,
like I said,
you're,
5 cents
you're
per
correct.
color copy and
Yeah.
0.7 per. Then my next question to you, Don, the recorder, is, don't you receive monies for copies that you use from your office?
Yes, I
And they're a
do.
separate fund?
I receive money, yeah, that's why I need a new one, because I sell the copies.
Can
So
those
they
monies
gotta
be used to purchase this copier?
Yeah, the money that you're getting from people buying copies, how much is that per year? Is that
Well,
what you're
I-
asking?
I don't know, total per year. And last month, I sold about $2,000 worth of copies last month.
So then you're proposing that the purchase of this, along with the contract, maintenance agreement, comes from those funds, or no?
No, because it goes in a perpetuation fund. I don't control where that money goes,
Who does?
the state.
That's your perpetuation fund, right?
Yeah, and there's very strict rules on both of our perpetuation funds and what we can use it for.
Copier is not one of them.
Nope. Unfortunately, I've done the research to find out, because it's like, that would be awesome, but no, you cannot use a
We don't make the
clerk's,
rules.
no, you cannot use a clerk's perpetuation
That's
fund.
common sense.
Okay, that's all the questions I
Yeah,
had.
I'm okay with getting copiers.
I'm gonna say this, yeah, I'm fine with it. In fact, let's just do that part.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the new copy machine for recorder's
I'll
office.
second.
All in favor?
Now
Thank
we
you.
decide what fund we're paying out of.
Well,
And then you need one for
I
the
don't
clerk
know.
too.
We don't have any
We said both.
money in front of it.
Oh, I thought you just said,
Copiers.
oh, copiers.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, I had asked, whatever that was, 2 weeks ago, I think we should get quotes for these, and I got my head bit off for that.
Yeah.
But there's reasons for that, because we've reached financial responsibility, fiscal responsibility in the county, and it doesn't mean we're not gonna go with this person, and maybe we have been with the same company for whatever, 5, 6, 7 years. But there's a couple things to that. One is, we don't know what else is out there in the world.
Are they
That
competitive?
keeps our current vendor honest, because we are getting quotes from people, but, I got my head bit off and told what my job was. Well, I'm aware of what my job is, but, I'm not voting for anything in the future that does not get quotes. Because that is not fiscal responsibility, and that does not keep people honest. We just go with the same old thing every day, because that's what we've always done.
Casino revenue?
Yeah, I was hoping, we don't have, I guess, we don't have any money from it.
Yeah,
That's probably all we do.
Is that what you said you're taking out of?
So it would be a total of what?
10 and
Just
change.
2 of these, right? So
Yeah.
11,000.
1,540.
Yeah, all right. I'll make a motion to pay the $11,540 out of the Commissioner's Casino revenue for the 2 new copy machines.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Mr. Brown?
I'll be quick, gentlemen. I brought you all a packet for you to take away tonight. Ryan, Shane. I know Joe and Jamie, but you don't know me on a professional level, and if you take that packet tonight and you go home and you read that, you'll understand the commitment that I have. As you all well know, I'm running for sheriff, and I think that a good working relationship between the stewards of the county of Switzerland should be a good working relationship, and with the sheriffs, the commissioners, and the county council. And I will be going to the council board and handing them the same packet you got. I've had a business in this county for 5.5 years. I've sat in there and I've listened to the people in this county. And I took that and I put it down on paper, and you can read that later on. And before I present that to the rest of the community, I wanted to take this time to give you guys the respect that you deserve, and the council, I'll do the same. That way you can read it first, and then I'll put it out to the community. But I think that there's a lot of good information in there. It speaks to me, and I hope it speaks to you. And that's all I have.
Good luck. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thanks.
The other thing that wasn't on the agenda, I don't need to go through these. These are applications for the open custodial position.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. I'm gonna make a motion tonight, and I'm gonna ask Wesley to do this, to, accept bids, get some bids from private bonded being the key word, bonded companies. To see, we need to gauge as a county, how much would it cost us to bring in a private entity clean at night versus paying a full-time employee for the benefits. That's the responsible thing to do. What is the company gonna charge us to do that? And we want it at least probably 3 nights a week. We want to keep the buildings clean. But we have no idea what that costs. And I think it's worth our while to find that out before we embark on hiring another employee, paying benefits and everything else.
For the school, you said?
So I've contacted Rod.
I think 2 weeks is probably a fair enough time frame to get some information like that. So my motion is to table applications until we get some bids from private companies, and we'll re-explore that 2 weeks.
I'll say,
All in favor?
more than one quote.
Yes. One question is probably gonna be supplies,
Do what?
them supplying versus us
I haven't
supplying.
quoted both ways.
Yeah.
Most of those companies are a one-stop shop. I have gathered that, but they bring their own everything, and they just charge you a flat rate. But bonded is the key, because they're gonna need access to recorder's office, judge, prosecutor. They have to be a licensed
I
bond.
think right now we have a contract, my team into this, with paper towels, toilet paper, all that.
Centos.
With Cintas for 5 years. I don't know why, but we did.
Well, I mean, they just kept, what they would did is they was just dropping off paper towels and toilet paper until we just didn't have no room no more.
Well, that's a different, Cintas is famous for that, but some
So
of
I
these
just had to cut them off until
Some of these
I don't want
companies
them to
actually-
start bringing stuff back.
clean, they're just a supply company.
Yes, they're not clean.
So can we break that contract, you think, if, because we go with the other people supplying? Or-
No, I don't mean, that's not what I'm talking about. These companies don't supply like rugs and
They just
paper
come in
and
and
their own
clean.
cleaning stuff. So eventually, yes, you aren't breaking any contracts. But eventually we weed things out and get back to, if they can save us $25,000 or $30,000 a year, $20,000 a year, it's certainly worth exploring that avenue.
But I think the answer is, if it's financially a benefit to break that contract, then
Yeah.
yes.
I know Cintas is tricky. We broke their contract next door, and that cost $10,000, something up front. But yeah, it's worth looking at, in my opinion. I don't have any board reports.
We had a endowment meeting last Tuesday. It was just a review of, from the, our finances. So nothing major discussed. Next meeting will be in April. So they're once a quarter.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Well, wait a minute. Does anybody have anything out here? For that? Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make
I was going to.